Hi guys, what is up with the Microsoft Teams Room certification for Poly Studio X30, Poly Studio X50, Poly Studio X70 and Poly G7500? Well, there is a ton of confusion in the market right now, and in this video I will do my absolute best to give you a bird's eye view of where I think we are at the moment and to provide you with some sort of guidance. So the short story is this: Poly Studio X30 and Poly Studio X50 have successfully passed Microsoft's recertification for Teams. So thumbs up on that one. Poly G7500, a modular product that was announced some time ago, also passed Microsoft certification for Teams, which is fantastic. And you can find details on this on Microsoft's website. That said, the long-awaited beast of a product, Poly Studio X70, is unfortunately in a bit of a limbo. The unit has passed Microsoft certification for Teams, but the details on this is still not available on Microsoft's website. Now, to give you a clear picture of what's going on here, I need to take you down the rabbit hole that is MTR on Android. So let's start with a quick trip down memory lane. All right, so in December of 2017, Android version 8.1 was released to the wider public. Now, this version was generally regarded as being very stable, and it had a ton of new features that developers and OEM manufacturers could take advantage of. And as a result, Poly used this version, Android 8.1, for its X series of Microsoft Teams Rooms devices, such as the Poly Studio X30 and Poly Studio X50. Now, if you ask me, I think those two units are super unique. They're unique both from a capability perspective and from a design perspective. They're easy to install, they're easy on the eye, and they come at a price point that is suitable for mass deployment. Now, fast forward to 2022, and Microsoft now announces that as of December 5th, 2022, the company would end MTR certifications for endpoints that are running Android 8.1, and that going forward, OEM manufacturers needed to run newer versions such as Android version 10. So naturally, Poly and others, they went out and they started upgrading their operating systems to run on Android version 10. Now folks, this is the point where I need to pause just for a second and take you through some of the basics regarding the technical architecture. For Microsoft Teams Room devices to work properly, 4 separate elements must gel: the Teams software client, the OEM-specific operating system, the Android version upon which everything runs, and ultimately the hardware that is powering up everything. Making these 4 layers work in concert can be a dang finicky affair. So come December 5th, 2022, and Poly find themselves in a bit of a jam because Poly Studio X30 and Poly Studio X50 are still running Android 8.1 because there's a delay with the release of the new operating system 4.0, which is running Android version 10. So long story short, despite running on an old version of Android, the products managed to pass recertification and are thus golden. But this left customers who have already deployed X30s and X50s with a ton of questions. So let me try to answer those most common ones one by one. So the most common question I get around these devices is, will they stop working? And the answer is no, they will not stop working just because they're running an older version on Android. So folks, you can breathe out now. They're golden. The second question I get is, will the Teams client on the devices work? And the answer is yes. Microsoft has in fact put out a written statement on their website saying that they are, quote, committed to making efforts to support the most recent version of the Teams client for another 2 years following the end of certification. So we're good on that one as well. A slightly weird question I get is, will Poly support the products? And the answer is absolutely. There are no changes to their support policy here. Another common question I get is, of course, when will Poly release the new operating system? And unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that one. It's an open question. There's no official communication on this, and only time will tell. But I would guess sometime in the sort of March, April timeframe of 2023. But that's a guess, so don't hold me to that. Another question I get is around business features. Am I missing out on a bunch of new business features just because I'm running Android 8.1 on my Poly X30 or my Poly Studio X50? And the answer is no, you're not. There's feature parity between Android 8.1 and Android 10, so you're not missing out on anything. Big one on security. What about security? What about security if I'm running Android 8.1? Well, there are no changes to what you had before. Android 8.1 is still supported by Google, and the latest updates, including security updates, are guaranteed by them. So what about the Poly G7500 unit? What's up with that one? Well, the situation with that particular unit is very similar to that of the Poly Studio X30 and Poly Studio X50, with the very obvious difference that device is not yet publicly available. Just to make things clear, it has cleared Microsoft certification and is at the gates, only waiting for OS 4.0 to be released. And once that's done, it's all systems go. And finally, what about the Poly Studio X70? What's up with that one? Well, the situation is somewhat like that of the G7500, with the only exception that no announcement has been made public on Microsoft's website. But from what I can tell, this should happen as soon as operating system 4.0 is released. As mentioned before, no official dates, but my particular guess is that this should happen very soon, say March, April timeframe. But it's a guess, so fingers crossed. But once this is done, I cannot wait to get my grubby little hands on the X70. So, given all of this, here's something I think we need to keep in mind. The technical architecture of Microsoft Teams Room is very different to that of legacy video endpoints that we may be used to. There are massive benefits of operating in an open architecture like Android, but it does come with some occasional hiccups like the ones we're experiencing right now. So that said, I'm convinced Poly HP will sort this out because they always do. And for them now to just cut this Gordian knot once and for all and get OS 4.0 released, which will allow devices like the X30 and the X50 to move to the latest Android version. And also, of course, to get the Poly G7500 and Poly Studio X70 to the market for organizations that are using Microsoft Teams. Now, if you thought this was useful, I would encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn, but I would also encourage you to pick up a copy of our latest MTR guidebook. You will find a link for a download in the comment section below. So folks, thanks for watching and have a fantastic day.